Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're now tuned into the 411 podcast and reading Between the Wines, powered by the Black Diamond Consultations Network. More than a podcast, this is a sanctuary for self-discovery, healing, and personal growth. Here, we explore what it means to live debt-free, not just financially, but spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Every episode is part of a journey across our weekly mentorship series: Spiritual Sundays, Mental Mondays, Transformational Tuesdays, Wind Down Wednesdays, Coaching Sessions Thursdays, and Financial Fridays. Each day holds space for wisdom, clarity, and real conversation. So grab your journal, pour your glass, and prepare to go beyond the surface. Because here, we don't just talk, we transform. And now, here's your guide through it all: entrepreneur, mentor, and founder of Black Diamond Consultations, Laren Gaines.
Welcome. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. It's Wind Down Wednesday. We are on episode 33, Situations Ain't Soul Ties. Disc 5 Restoration, Reading Between the Wines. Today is Wednesday, the 25th. I can't believe that this month is almost over. It feels like it just started. One thing I will say is that I'm enjoying this weather here. We're up in at least the 90s, getting into 100 degrees, so I'm in my zone. I like this. Summer is officially here. Tonight we are sampling a rosé, but it's a special type of rosé. It's ruby red rosé, which is infused with grapefruit. Makes sense for this type of evening tonight, a nice summer evening with a nice refreshing glass of rosé infused with red grapefruit. Special guest coming in tonight, author Birdman 313. You know what happens when we both get together. We're going to have some breakthrough moments. If you could please do me a favor, please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you are also catching this replay at a later date, I want to say I appreciate you, and do me a favor. Please go ahead and share this video, share this podcast, share this episode with the next fellow. I also would like to give a very special thank you to my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity to come out here and give you the Reading Between the Wines show. On that note, let's go ahead and get on into this. I want to go ahead and give a recap of the previous episode. So we went to Oakland, California. Shout out to anybody who lives in California. It's one of my favorite places. Miss Tatiana, 31, from Oakland. She's a medical assistant. She says that she loves what she does because it pays the bills. But the situation with her is that she stayed too long. I don't know if anybody could relate. I know I most certainly could. You ever been in a job where you basically had to turn around and train somebody else to do your job. This was a very difficult, I want to say, episode because it hit home in so many different ways, but I know that so many different people are going through it. One person also told me back in the day when I first started my career, but I didn't listen at a good young 19 years old. I was told that you only have an obligation to yourself and your family. If your job is not providing you with raises on an annual basis, not giving you the appropriate appraisals and having the right conversations with you on an annual basis, it might be an opportunity to go and look somewhere else. However, some of us, we get wrapped up and we get trapped up into, I like my job or I love my boss, whatever the situation might be. But at the end of the day, just remember, when it hits the fan, are they going to come helping you out? Are they going to save you? Are they going to give you that good bailout? Just remember, in the long run, you only have an obligation to yourself and your family. Tatiana's out here working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make it work, realizing that she's training new hires, and she told her boss that she thinks that she's up for a raise. And the boss turned around and told her, you are lucky that you even have a job in the state of this economy. So now she's at the point where she's asking questions of how does she walk away from a job that's financially stunting her growth when she has one foot in the door and the other on a banana peel. If you want to find out how we helped out Miss Tatiana, again, I'm not here to give any personal advice. I'm here to just give my opinion. What would I do if I was in your shoes? Just think about it that way. What would Laren do if I was in your shoes? And I just basically laid it out there. You can watch that replay on YouTube. You can also check out any of the replays on Facebook. We have it on X. We have it on Twitch. We have it on Daily Motion. We also have it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Pocket Cast, pretty much wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can go ahead and check out 411 Podcast, Reading Between the Wines. Go ahead and check out that replay. Let me know how you feel about that. Of course, you can go ahead and text me at the official 411 Podcast, Reading Between the Wines hotline at 609-200-1098. Let me know what you feel about that. Let me know if there's a different spin that you might have on it versus what I had to put out there. Tonight's going to be an interesting show. I'm telling you that with the temperatures being what they are, I'm really excited about sampling this wine. And I'm going to try to get through this as quick as possible so we can get to the fun part. But tonight's show, situations ain't soul ties. I'm try to do this some justice here without getting too personally involved in this. I'm going to pull back my emotions on this because I can relate and I understand. Question that I have: how do you get over an ex? I know how I got over some of them. So I'm putting that out there. This is some rhetorical questions as we get into this song of the day. We Can't Be Friends by Deborah Cox, released in 1998 off of her album One Wish. And also that song is featuring RL from Next, one of my favorite songs. How do you get over an ex? And can you still be friends with your ex? I've asked this question time and time again. I've been podcasting since 2020. And I have asked this question time and time again because some of my biggest breakups were due to people still talking to their exes. Person that I am today, I know how to handle this. I didn't know how to handle it back in the day. But I've learned. There's been some growth and there's been some major understanding. So, but again, we all learn and we all grow and we all evolve at different points in our lives. So I'm just throwing these rhetorical questions out there, especially after listening to this record again. These are just some lyrics from this song. If you don't know, We Can't Be Friends by Deborah Cox. How dare we meet by shaking hands? Just months ago, I was your man. I went by Mother's, saw your car there. See, this is the part here that gets you. To her, you're still family, and that don't seem fair. When you have family members that won't let your ex go, and they feel that they can still come around and show up as if you two were still together, they still come to family functions. I'm just trying to help somebody out tonight. How do you get over an ex? And do you get over him? And can you still be friends? Some more lyrics. You may see me staring or catch me in a daze. This one right here. Don't get too close to me and expect me to behave. Now I'm gonna, spend a little time on this one. Don't get too close to me and expect me to behave. When you have been intimate with somebody and you took it there with somebody and y'all both are feeling each other and y'all know what that experience was like, can you be friends with somebody after you've taken it there? And I didn't mention what happens when there's extracurricular activities going on, such as indulging in that casual drink, putting one or two up in the air. How does that situation work when you get too close to somebody after you've been a little altered, after the situation has changed? How do you get over an ex? Can you still be friends with an ex? Check this one out. I might just steal a kiss if you come near my face. Is it wise to be alone with an ex? Is it wise to get too close to an ex? Especially after you've already started to move on with your life or think that you've moved on with your life and started something new with somebody else. So the question that I have to ask and put out here in the atmosphere tonight, ladies and gentlemen, how do you get over an ex? And if you aren't over an ex, is it wise to still be friends with them? This part right here, Deborah goes off at the end. She says, can you look at me in the eyes and honestly say that you don't love me anymore? Now, when I first started podcasting, we talking about season 1 to 2. We had this guest come on, R&B rapper from Queens, New York. His name is Superlative Sane. And I clearly remember this episode because I was going through something during that time frame. And he has a song called X. I strongly urge anybody out there listening to go ahead and check it out. His name is Superlative Sane. He has a song called X. It's off of his album called Growth. And we spent a lot of detailed discussion talking about this song. And he believes that when you are an ex for a reason. There's a reason why you're my ex. There's a reason why my friends don't speak to you anymore. There is a reason why you won't even see me knocking at your door. There is a reason that you are my ex. And one thing that I have to say as I continue to ask these questions, how do you get over an ex? Can you be friends with an ex? The person that I am today, I will say that it's possible. Now check this out. It's possible after there's some growth, after there's some understanding, after there's some boundaries that have been set. However, when you take that chance to be friends with an ex, you always leave that door open to whatever nonsense, whatever disappointments, whatever hurt, whatever it was that caused that person to be an ex. You're always keeping that door open. And if you keep that door open, that could prevent the next person from showing up. So, yes, you can be a friend with an ex. However, it may stunt your growth. And how mystical is it that Superlative X, his album that this song is on X, is on his album called Growth. You may stunt your own growth. You may tie yourself down to something which is called a quicksand relationship, where you're stuck in quicksand, no growth moving forward because you decided to leave a door open and you couldn't close it because you were just so attached to and you just wanted to continue to be friends with your ex. For me, today I say absolutely not. Is there still love? Absolutely. But there's something that's called loving people from a distance. And I would never want to have myself in a situation where the waters are a little murky and I decide to get too close to an ex, or I put myself in a situation. And I don't think I'd be so cool with the person that I'm dating that is friends with their ex as well. Hey, I'm just putting it out there. That's just what I see. Now, the type of person that I am that may not be cool with that, I want you to think about the situation that you might be in, the situation that you might be stepping out of, maybe the situation that you might be trying to get into. You have to ask all of these questions and you have to do your research and find out and know. You still cool with your ex? You still talk to your ex? Do you still get down with your ex? I'm trying to help somebody out here tonight. But this is why we can't be friends. Deborah Cox, We Can't Be Friends, released in 1998 off of her album One Wish. Listen, I know what my exes look like. And I've said this before on time and time again. And listen, I don't want to be in no situation where I might have to start second guessing and starting to thinking and going back down memory lane because I know what it was like. So I want to put myself in that situation. And I strongly suggest that you don't do the same. And this is why we can't be friends. So, song of the day, We Can't Be Friends by Deborah Cox, featuring RL from Next, released in 1998 off of her album One Wish. Now, let's get on into this. We have First Press Ruby Red Rosé. This is Ruby Red Rosé with grapefruit. It is rosé wine with natural grapefruit flavors. And what do you know? It's produced in France. This one is about 8.5. So it's kind of light. It's not too much. I will tell you that when I opened it up, all you smell is grapefruit straight off the bat. Nothing but grapefruit. So I already can imagine what it's going to taste like. Amazing smell, refreshing. I want to try to do this some justice here tonight. It's a Provence style rosé blend from France. There's about 3 different grapes. It's made from 80% wine juice and 20% ruby red grapefruit juice. Make sure I got these grapes right. Grenache, and again, I've had wine experts tell me, no, that's not how it's pronounced. But, we do it here on Reading Between the Wines the way I know how to do it. And I take constructive criticism if I'm not pronouncing these grapes properly, but this is how I do it here. Syrah grape, I know that one, and I want to make sure I do this one right. Mourvedre. All of those grapes blended together with the ruby red natural grapefruit juice. This bottle of wine is about $15. The alcohol content, like I said before, is 8.5, and appearance is pale to medium pink. It's going to be vibrant. It gives you that youthful, reminiscent of a typical classic Provence rosé. The aroma, like I tell you, I'm smelling it now. It's just amazing. Bright citrus. You get that real dominant citrus, ruby red, grapefruit, orange blossom, soft savory undertones of your typical rosé. Taste testers have described it as light-bodied, crisp and refreshing, tangy grapefruit leads supported by a gentle sweetness from the juice blend. It has a clean and thirst quenching finish that echoes the grapefruit So basically, we already understand. If you don't know, I've said grapefruit probably several times here tonight, and I didn't even start yet. So you can already imagine what this is like. It pairs well with brunch. You can have this for a brunch, which that sounds amazing. Spicy foods, grilled salmon, baked brie, shellfish, salads, and spicy food like spicy Asian foods. A fun fact with this mixing rosé with fresh grapefruit is an old southern French tradition. First Press revived it with a modern twist, creating this wine that I'm sampling here tonight with a low alcohol volume of 8.5. This fruit infused, not quite wine, and it's not quite a cocktail, but it's meant for easy sipping in the sun. So this was a great pick for tonight. This received 4 out of 5 stars, a delightful, refreshing pick for warm weather when you want something lighter and fruitier than just your traditional rosé. And I told you that I'm committed to bringing the white wines, the blushes, the rosés this summer. And of course, in the wintertime, we will switch back over to the reds, the darks. And I came across Snoop Dogg again. He freaking just mesmerizes me every single time with his wine catalog. I came across another Snoop Dogg wine that I haven't sampled. And I think this winter, we're going to end with the summer and go into the winter, but I'm going to commit to going back from day one with Snoop Dogg Journey and sample all of his wines because he just keeps coming out with new ones. One of the reviews says, on the nose, the fresh pressed ruby red grapefruit rosé is bursting with fragrant aromas of citrus fruits. The palate is the the palate is then greeted with a delightful fusion of juicy grapefruit and the subtle sweetness of the rosé wine. All right, so I've said grapefruit 1,000 times here tonight. I want to say cheers. Thank you so much for coming in for another episode of Reading Between the Wines. Please do me a favor. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend. I'm going to go ahead and bring in special guest, author Birdman313, while I go ahead and sample this, and I will be right back to give you my update on how I feel about this wine. It passed the test. I agree. It doesn't necessarily really taste like a wine. It's not really a cocktail. I will tell you, keep this thing super chilled on a nice warm day like it is today. I could do some damage to this bottle. We're going to see what happens tonight, but last week I got halfway through the bottle, and that was like, I believe it was 13% alcohol volume. This one here, not much. So I can see myself getting through this bottle tonight, depending on the conversation. And on that note, what's going on, Birdman? How are you?
Hey, how you doing, man? If you hear me coughing throughout the show, man, these allergies it has gotten me down, man. But I'm here.
Well, that's what's up. I know those allergies are a trip, but at least it's not a cold, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Now,
how you been doing?
I'm good. I'm here. It's hot. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's hot here. It's been raining, and that's what the problem is with all this rain.
You don't
And
give yourself.
then the past couple weekends, I've been doing outdoors open mic, man, and been sitting up under trees, and that's what there's so much stuff in the air down here, man. It kind of got me. It just slowed me down. Put it like that.
You don't got that good Claritin because I usually pop me a Claritin and I'm on point after that.
Nah, I don't, man. I take something for it, but hey.
Oh, I didn't know if you were one of those people that are naturalists where they don't take anything.
Yeah. I have cough syrup. Well, I have high blood pressure, so I have to be careful what I take.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
I know, I know that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So I got cough drop. I mean, I got cough syrup, and I got some tablets I take, and it's for people with high blood. So I've been taking that regular. When it started getting me down.
Speaking of getting down, I'm gonna take it there tonight. Can I tell you that I just can't stand people who live in New Jersey? And I know that that might be terrible that I speak like that, but I, I'm just counting down the days that I can get up out of here. And let me tell you why. Because you know that I love the heat, right? I'm in my element right now.
Yeah.
Now the same. I don't make my mouth get my mouth right. God, please help me. Now the same folks that had something to say all winter long. Oh, it's so cold. Oh, it's this. Oh, I can't. And I sure hope that some of them are listening. Now that it gets hot, they want to say, "Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's the devil's paradise. Oh, the devil is outside twerking. Oh, yeah, just listen to the memes and watch the videos and everything. People in New Jersey, wherever you are, and in this vicinity that's experiencing the temps of 90 plus, y'all act like it's the end of the world, and it's only been like a not even a week.
I
Now,
mean, haven't you known you can't please everybody? You can please them some of the time, but you can't please them all of the time.
now, check. You right about that. Now, check this out. Tomorrow, we've been dealing with temperatures of 100 degrees. Tomorrow's going to be in the 70s. Watch what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
hmm Watch what happens tomorrow. I'll be ready to fist fight them all. Because if you say something tomorrow about it's cold, it's too cold, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I have started to do some experiments with the books, and they've sort of been all over the place. And I want to have some consistency. I want to try to make it make sense because I don't feel that it was making much sense for me jumping all over the place. So I'm going to stay consistent in a specific book until I get out of it because we only do short clips. It's not like I'm sitting here reading the book for the whole episode. So we still have issues with money. That's what we're doing here. That's what we speak about. So I'm going to get back to the Money Hacks book and try to give people ways to help save, spend, and, just increase as we are in some turbulent times. You can just turn on the news and realize that we're in some I want to say, uneasy times, and anything can happen at the drop of a dime. So I'm gonna stay in this book for a minute to help people save money and get better at handling money over a period of time. So as we in this book here, we can start on any number. We can go from, let's say, 10 to 250. What number you got tonight?
Okay. I'm not going to use any of my kids' birthdays, so I'm going to say 155.
155. All right.
Yeah.
This is a good book to stay into. We're going to stay in this for a minute. 155. Huh. 155. Hack number 155. No, you said 155 or 151?
155.
Oh, okay. All right. 155. Let strangers rent your time. Hack number 155. Let strangers rent your time. Do you want to rent your time? If you consider yourself a people person or have special skills or activities you want to share with others, consider letting people rent your friendship. Wow, I've never heard of this before. Rentafriend.com claims it has more than 600,000 friends available for hire worldwide. The platform charges a membership fee for people looking for companions. People offering their time set their own rates, and users pay them directly. Rates tend to be around $25 per hour. Plus, depending on what your new friend wants to do during their time with you, you may get to see a museum, movie, or sporting event for free. You may even go to dine on their tab. If you're looking to expand your social circle, this could be a good way to meet new people while also making a few bucks along the way. Rentafriend.com. What do you think about that?
No, man, that's too sketchy.
I feel you on that. I don't know about that. Rentafriend.com.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's too sketchy, man, because you may have somebody that their mind, you don't know exactly where their mind is, and it's just too sketchy. I don't want to say too much.
well, you're right about that because, listen, I have recently started to get back into this whole dating thing. And even just that, you never know who you're dealing with. So,
Oh, that's so true.
people out there, you got to be very careful because it's no good out there in these days. And one thing, I'm going to touch base on this too. People on these dating apps, which I say no to dating apps, they say that they're single. You go to meet up with the person, and then they got the boyfriend or their girlfriend there, and they're set up to rob you.
Man, oh we you said something. It just made me think about a friend I had. Well, we met actually on the internet. He was a poet, and we used to always be on this program. So about for 6 weeks, nobody heard from him. But
Mm-hmm.
they was wondering what happened. He met some female at a reading he was at.
Mm-hmm.
She come and spent time with him at his place. So
Mm-hmm.
when she left, she said, "Hey, you can come and visit me." He said, "Okay." Dude, man, she bought him a plane ticket
Wow.
for a cab ride to get to her place. He goes to the house and a guy comes to the door, but he said, "I'm her brother. Come on in."
Mm.
Yeah, oh yeah. So he gets in and he said, "Oh, he said she must be upstairs getting ready." He said, "Go on in the study and sit down." He goes in there. He said he started having these wild feelings. All of a sudden, she come down. She said, "Oh, what's up?" She said, "What you still doing here?" He's a truck driver and he was supposed to leave. Well, guess what? It got canceled for him.
Oh,
So he
ooh.
said, just go in the study. And he says, somebody wanted me. She walked in there and she froze. And he said, so y'all know each other. And
Mm.
so he didn't know it was her husband. He said, yeah. So she come, and she came to one of my readings. She spent a couple of nights with me, and she told me it was all right. I could come here and stay. He said, okay. So he said, I'm gonna let you two talk for a minute. In the meantime, she was trying to give him the eye, get out of here, get out of here. The dude, he walked back and he said he heard this drawer open. When the guy came back, he said, I'm her husband. He had a gun. He said, and don't run. Sit your down.
Mm. Mm.
And then he walked over to him. He said, this is your boyfriend. This is who you've been spending my money on.
Mm.
Man, he hit old boy upside the head.
Wow.
He went to hitting him. And the
Mm.
dude was screaming and hollering. He
Wow.
broke and ran. He didn't go out. You know how you come in the door?
Yeah.
He jumped through a window. And the
Wow.
dude went to shooting at him. The neighbors heard all the commotion. They called the police. The police came there. He was laying out in the middle of the street. Man, they stopped the husband. The husband said, hey, he came to my house.
Right.
He was
Right.
inside with my house with my
Yep.
wife.
Yep. And
Man, oh boy, ended up he had to go to court for that. He was in the hospital for like
and,
it's not, I mean, I'm like, wow, man. He came back and told us the story. And so this lady, she said, well, you know what, you ought to write a poem about that. He said, hell, I ain't got no words for nothing like that.
he lucky he got out alive because if that man had ended up killing him, he probably would. I'm not saying that he wouldn't face any time, but he would have been have
in the
been
right.
favored, because something like that, when it happens, it's like called the crime of passion,
Yes.
where you can say that you slipped into a different realm and you didn't understand what was going on during the moment. Like if a man comes in and catches his wife in the act with somebody and he goes in on both of them. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's,
see, his bag, his luggage was still inside, so he had proof the guy was in his house.
I'm sitting here thinking of a proverb. I don't know if you know it, but there's a proverb that says, "Stay away from married women
Yes.
because it will send you straight." Hey,
Yes.
I'm just giving it to you, my version, but it will
Yeah.
send you. I don't know which one it is, but yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
leave it.
But and old dude, he was never the same,
Oh, I bet.
and he gave he I don't know if he's doing anything now, but he kind of gave up poetry for a minute. He stopped writing it, and every once in a I don't hear from him no more. But during that period of time, people would ask about him, and she said he just don't communicate with nobody. She said he is really screwed up.
Yeah, mental trip. After being hit
Yeah,
upside the head, he probably saw his life flash before his eyes. He didn't know whether he was gonna make it out of there or not.
and he lost his home, he lost his ride because he was in the hospital. And then
Uh,
when he got out the hospital, they took him to jail, and
and,
he had to get an attorney, you know, and
oh,
he
he.
got out of it. He got out of it because they found out, she did invite him. He said, I got receipts showing she sent me the plane ticket and the money for the cab fare. So, they let him go.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay away from people who are married.
Yes.
Mm, wow, I don't even know what to say. This. Well, let's get on into tonight's scenario here. We
Yep.
have Miss Chanel, 35 years old, living in Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out, what do they call it? The DMV area. She is a licensed cosmetologist and a lash tech. For the past year and a half, she has been in a situationship with a man named Darius, who's 38. We've never made it official, but we've done everything couples do. I see, we could stop it right there, but and I'm not gonna stop it here. I'm gonna keep going, but just pay attention. If you keep coming back here listening time and time again, there's some common themes here. We we gonna get past this, but there's too many common themes here. From vacations to spending holidays together. He told me he wasn't ready for a relationship. See, I'm doing it already. He told me he wasn't ready for a relationship, but I thought if I stayed consistent, loving, and low maintenance, eventually he'd see that I was the one. Instead, I found out 2 weeks ago that he got back with his ex. Now, remember at the top of the show, Deborah Cox, we can't be friends. And I and didn't even he got back with his ex and he didn't even tell her. I had to go find out through Instagram stories. I feel used, and worse, I feel betrayed. I feel like I betrayed myself to win him. I've spent so much time and money investing in him, cooking, gifting, planning, and even helping him pay a $600 car repair when he said he was short. Now I'm sitting here with a broken heart and an empty wallet. How do I forgive myself for ignoring the red flags, and how do I stop confusing attention for affection in the future? Take it to the top. Miss Chanel, 35, living in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland. She works as a licensed cosmetologist and a lash tech. For the past year and a half, she's been in a situationship with a man named Darius, who's 38. We've never made it official, but we've done everything couples do, from vacations to spending holidays together. He told me he wasn't ready for a relationship, but I thought if I stayed consistent, loving, and low maintenance, eventually he'd see that I was the one. Instead, I found out 2 weeks ago that he got back with his ex and didn't even tell me. I had to find out through Instagram stories. I feel used, and worse, I feel like I betrayed myself trying to win him. I've spent so much time and money investing in him, cooking, gifting, planning, and even helping him pay a $600 car repair when he said he was short. Now I'm sitting here with a broken heart and an empty wallet. How do I forgive myself for ignoring the red flags, and how do I stop confusing intention for affection in the future? Birdman, take it away.
And you know what? I've looked at this, I've thought about it, and I can say she's not by herself. A lot of men and women have done this. I had to look up what situationship was.
And what you find out.
It's the same as a friends with benefits.
Okay, so that's the new term for it now because we call it something different these days.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a sexual whatever the relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
And that was her, you know what? That was number one right there. Come on, it's situationship. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all was friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she was only in it for a year and a half. So she kind of lucky it didn't go on for 3 or 4 years. I
Wow.
put it like that. She was
Wow.
very lucky of that.
Mm-hmm. You're
She
right.
and she said that he never, they never. Now she said this: we never made it official.
Hmm.
So I don't see how she could be hurt because she said both of them had never made it official. And then, like you said, as it go down, when he said he wasn't, excuse me, he wasn't ready for a relationship, again, you should have seen right there, okay, then this is nothing but a friends with benefit thing, to make it, to clean it up, to, not to make it look bad or, use, bad words. And, I just looked at it and I'm like, okay, he done gave you, there's three things right there that you know about. Now you're feeling hurt. And because y'all went on vacation, man, I know people who are friends go on vacation. People are friends, they go to dinner, who are friends and they go to parties. So that was all on her. And she was trying to force somebody to love her. When you can't, I don't care, you can't force nobody to love you, like you, or be around you.
Mm.
So regardless if she was constant loving, low maintenance, it doesn't make a difference if the guy is not ready or the woman is not ready. Nothing you can do can change that.
Yeah.
And like I said, we all have been, we all have been in that situation before. I have, but I went in it for that long. When I realized what was up, I was like, oh, okay, we just friends. Yeah, that's all. Oh, okay, friend. And she's like, oh, we can be friends. We can be friends with benefits. So I'm like, friends with benefit. She said, yeah, that means I can go out and sleep with whoever I want, and you can do the same. I'm like, okay, I, okay, I'm not for that because I just got out of a relationship and I'm feeling bad. I'm, feeling, hurt and feeling like nobody want me. So that's not a good thing. And
Mm-mm.
I walked away from it. I was like, okay. I said, well, I just stopped. She called a couple times. I didn't answer. She didn't call no more.
Mm.
So, like I said, she the one made the mistake. So that's why I didn't feel bad for her. I know that might be cruel, but she already gave you three things that told her this wasn't something that was gonna last. And as far as him, they went in relationship, so she didn't have to tell. He didn't have to tell her. He went back to his ex.
Yeah. Now, as you, I thought about Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel, when you said it might be cruel. I thought about the song by Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel.
Yeah.
I want y'all to get it together. Now, okay, let me pause here because you know this rose is good. I just want to say it's good. So you're gonna get the wind down version of me. But I want people to pay attention. As I tell my children, like my girl Mary J. Blige, if you look at my life and see what I've seen, like you got the blueprint. Just look at my life and see what I've seen. But I want y'all to stop it with these letters. Because like you said, we all been through it. And I know we had a discussion this week about coming from the male perspective and coming from the women perspective. So even though Miss Chanel wrote in tonight, this could easily be a man. And I have been in full conversation with friends. And when you do stuff like this, there is something that is called being a simp. You can look that up as well if you don't know what that is. But a simp, when you were out there doing the most, doing backflips, loving on somebody, and the feeling ain't mutual. You're the only one doing it. And you're a man. You're a simp.
Yes.
You're gonna need to man up. Hold on one second, everybody. Everybody know. Hold on one second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had to let people know that I'm podcasting here. So, you're considered a simp. No way around it. You're considered a simp. So, you have to reel that in and man up. If you're a woman, just like Miss Chanel here, you're gonna have to woman up. It is what it is. You're gonna have to do what you gotta do. Easier said than done. I know it's hard, especially when you are looking for love in all the wrong places and you don't know who you are. You will do things like that. Miss Chanel, you only spent $600. Now I don't know about the dates and all this other stuff, cooking, planning, gifting, all of those other things like that. I get that. All you said was $600 for a car repair. If I could take it back to memory lane when I first got out of my divorce and I decided to get into a situationship, we talking about maybe $4,000 within 3 months. Boom, skyrocketed right to the top. But instead of it being called a situationship, instead of it being called with a friends with benefits, it was something that was called I want to casually date you.
Exactly.
Now I didn't know what the hell casually date meant, but I'm telling you that my bank account figured it out after about 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was a definition of what you would call a simp. But I ain't one today. And when I speak to my mentor, she tells me, Laren, that's because all that bedroom action was going on.
You know what? You know what? And I would say, okay, she did all of this. She had fun. She was smiling all the time. Now you want to be frowned because, you know, her friends probably done seen it on Instagram and they're calling her up and say, girl, I didn't know that you and him broke up. Girl, you know, they going on. That was, you know, how many men have did that? Have spent money, and some of them enjoy this situation here. A whole lot of them enjoy that because there's no strings attached. And like I said, if he told her he wasn't ready for a relationship, it didn't. Like I said, it didn't matter. No, nothing she did was gonna make him change his mind until he wanted to. Like
I
like I said, I've been through that before myself, and but I didn't. With me, I was like, man, I had a good time. You know, I mean, hell, she was there, I was there. Now she's gone, I'm gone. Hey, I never looked at it. I never sit back and cried about it or felt bad about it. I just like, okay, let me go find somebody else. You
okay.
know,
All right. I want to put a disclaimer out there because I'm like laughing a lot tonight. It's not funny. I've been here before, and like you said, you didn't cry about it. Well, Birdman, I did, because
yeah,
I got out of a bad situation. I got out of a divorce, and you start to think, you start to feel good about yourself after a divorce, and you get wrapped up into stuff. And I was joking with somebody earlier this week. I'm I'm 45 years old, but every time I turn around, people tell me I look like I'm in my late 20s, 30s. So my response was, "Yeah, I like I'm young."
oh,
probably
oh,
not. Probably not the most appropriate response. But I attract a lot of young people, and you
yeah,
got to remember the mindset's not in the same spot. So I'm in my 30s at this time, and I'm bagging somebody who's in their 20s at this time, and I'm fresh off of a divorce, so I got caught up real quick. Um, and I'm gonna touch base with this because this just eerie, and this because it sounds so similar to what I could relate to. We never made it official, but
right,
we do everything that couples do, from vacations to spending holidays together. See, I knew the gig was up because we didn't spend holidays together.
yeah,
You lucky that you spent holidays together, because sometimes when you're not spending holidays together, that means that they're spending holidays with somebody else.
exactly,
Now, here's the part that doesn't make any sense, because just like we call it situationship, back in the day it was called friends with benefits. People will tell you everything they need to tell you if you actually listen in the beginning, but you got to pause on all of that bedroom action. Not saying that, oh, we can't do that because this is life, it happens, but you have to make sure you're using your mind and be mindful of what happens, because you get distorted once that love bug hits you. But he told you that he wasn't ready for a relationship. I was told, let's just casually date. Once you start to meet somebody new, it starts to become exciting. You forget about, I don't want to be in a relationship. You forget about, let's casually date. And then all of a sudden, your mind gets twisted up and you try to figure out how to make sure that you are the only one. That's a problem. You did the same exact thing. You thought that, oh, if I didn't talk too much, or if I didn't bring up too much about where we stand, or if I was more loving, or if I was low maintenance, that you would actually see that I was the one. That's a problem.
exactly. That's why I'm saying, it was. She said the red flag, the red flags was there,
Mm.
and see, she caught feelings. He didn't, because who knows how long he had been trying to get his ex back.
Huh.
And then see, that's something else too, because you don't know how long him and his ex have been communicating. Because like it just didn't happen overnight, And I've learned that. And like I said, man, I've been in that situation, and I'm like, okay, this is not. This is, and then I see. I pretty much know. Okay, this ain't gonna work. You pretty much know within what the first month. I give it that long a time.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
you know if this is gonna work or since she ain't in here. This is a bang bang thing. Let's go get this. Let's go get this off. And hey, we all right. And long she was doing what she was doing, he was hanging in there. But the whole time he was believe it or not, he never was there with her. Even though they went on vacation, his mind was not with her on the vacation. His body was, but his mind wasn't. When
All
they
right.
was laying, they was laying in bed, his
Mhm.
body was there, but his mind wasn't. A lot of people don't understand that.
Now I don't mean to interrupt, but isn't there a song that says that? Isn't there a please help me out? There's an old school song that says that.
I think so. That's what that I
Um,
listen to so much music. It's hard for
um,
me to you
there is
know,
a yeah,
mm,
there's a record that says that.
yeah.
Mine.
And
Mm, I
yeah,
don't know.
go ahead. Yeah, like I said, his mind wasn't with her. His mind was with his ex the whole time.
Somebody please help me. There's a record that says that my body is here, but my mind is somewhere across town. It's an old school record.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can. You got me thinking.
My mind, he says that my mind is across town somewhere. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. I thought about Catching Feelings by Faith Evans. Like,
yeah.
you
Uh
in
huh.
this relationship, you in this situationship, you in this friends with benefits situation. This was just supposed to be something else, but now you over here catching feelings. There's always one person that's catching feelings when you do stuff like that.
Right. And he probably told, and sometimes that's like I was in that situation, and she said, "Well, I hope you don't catch feelings." She let me know right then and there. I'm like, "Cool, I ain't gonna catch feelings. I just want to jump up
Right.
and down, jump in your guts a few times, and get the hell out." That's what I was saying in my mind.
I
That's
can't.
what that's what I was saying in my mind. I didn't say it out loud, you
Um,
know. And hey, after a while, she let me know that it was somebody else she was messing around with. But then she did leave me a message, and she said, "Well, I chose you because you're a gentleman and you this, and that." She left a message because I wouldn't answer the phone. And I was like, "Oh, okay then. Well, you waited too late. I
you
moved
know, you got me over here. I'm done with you for the evening. I I'm glad that this disclaimer is out there.
Yeah,
This is a true definition of what Wind Down Wednesday is.
yeah.
Um, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is what it is. This is real life situations that we talk about. Uh,
And
um,
I used to hear the old guys because old guys be talking around, they be laughing, they be like, "Old youngster, they're in love. Look how he chasing after her." And he said, "Hey man," and I remember one guy told me this one time. He said, "Dude, you chasing after her?" He said, "When you leave going down the street, I'm coming right behind you, and then
oh,
I'm leaving going back home, just
all
like
right,
that."
all right. So now you know what song I thought of. Now here we go. But
Yeah,
I need your help though with this. Love Train. Now, the reason why I knew Love Train was from Drew Hill, but wasn't there a group called Confunction something?
yes, yes,
Now he
yeah,
said calling couldn't call him, but somebody else is there, can't
yeah,
get in. But that's what you call a love train.
yeah.
And then we had Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak remake it. But listen, that Drew Hill Cisco.
I
Then
see. I'm thinking it's the OJs that.
now it was a group called Confunction. But let me
Yeah,
tell you,
I
I,
know Confunction because I used to, wait, when I was a DJ, I used to jam at the clubs. I used to jam their songs, but
everybody,
also I think the old, I don't know why it
I'm gonna look
crossed
it
my
up.
mind that it's the
You know
OJs have
what?
a song like that.
You know what? When Drew Hill's album came out, I asked my aunt, and my mother was in the same room because my mother is like the queen of the old school records. I always would find out, who like the hottest records that were out. I would go to my mom and be like, who made this song? So my aunt was in the room when I was asking who made this song back in the day. And what I would do is then go back and listen to the old record. I asked that same question in front of both of them, and my aunt kept saying the OJs.
Yes,
She was so persistent on the OJs, but I couldn't find anything on OJs. After we're done, I'm gonna go back and do my research, but I know that Confunction did that. But what I have to say is that people really have to give it up to Cisco because I think he has the best version of it all. Like sometimes you can steal something from an artist, like Mary stole "I'm Going Down" from Rolls Royce. Cisco, Drew Hill, they sung the hell out of that song. And I know Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak, they came out with a newer version, but they don't have nothing on. They don't have nothing on Cisco. I'm so sorry, they don't have nothing on that Drew Hill version. But
Okay, can I say something? I
okay,
just pulled it up. It is the OJs who have Love Train
I'm gonna have to look.
back
I'm,
in 72,
I'm gonna have to listen to.
1972, man.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to listen to their version because I know I listened to Confunction because they must have did it better than the OJs. You think they did better than the OJs?
No. Nah.
I don't know why when you look it up though, that's the most popular one that pops up.
Yeah, but yeah, well, because it was on the Backstabbers.
Oh well, that's
Yeah, they was on that Backstabbers. Back then, it was an album, so it was on the Backstabbers album.
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Yeah.
This here tonight, I don't know what to say. You scrolling on the Instagram pages and you find out through the stories you're stalking, whatever it is, you feel used, and worst off, you feel like you betrayed. You feel like you're being betrayed. Betrayed yourself, which you did, trying to win him. You absolutely did. Spending money, investing time on him, cooking, cleaning, planning, paying $600 car repairs, all of that good stuff. What did you say that's a gift? Those are just gifts.
I mean, that's a gift.
Yeah, we don't have to get. We don't have to get over that.
But you
And
know what? She's out there. Reason why she feel bad because she was bragging to her friends.
and then how do I forgive myself for ignoring the red flags? Just make sure you don't do it the next time around. And how do I stop confusing attention for affection in the future? I tell my daughters this all the time because my mentor makes sure that we discuss this plenty of times. After you come out of a bad situation, be careful of the first person that pays attention to you. Because I just explained to you the situation that I came out of after a divorce. The first person that pays attention to you. Let me tell you, the first person that paid attention to me sent me on a tailspin because you think that all of a sudden, oh my God, they're telling you everything that the other person wasn't telling you. Well, that
Yeah.
situation was so bad that I was running to get the hell out of it, and it pushed me, and I ran into the arms of somebody else, which was a whole nother issue.
Yep.
Be very careful of the first person that's paying attention to you. Ladies, if you're out there listening, I tell my daughters, if a man sits here and tells you that they love you, tell him, I know, because my daddy told me. Like you ain't telling me nothing special. You ain't
Wow.
telling me nothing extra. Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you. My daddy tells me that all the time. Like when I heard somebody on a podcast say you better listen and you better tell your daughters that they're beautiful, you better tell them that you love them. You better tell them all of the things that they need to tell you, because if you don't, the first man that pays attention to them, they're going to make them go goo goo gaga, and that's going to be a situation that's going to be a problem.
Yes, it is. I mean, well, for me, I don't know, man. When I got out my marriage, oh, dude, hey, it was like swinging doors. I'm like, let me test this out. Let me test that out. Let me test this. I wasn't thinking about no one person. I listened to what they said with a grain of salt. And you know what, man? I said, nah. And then that's when I realized I need to first take care of myself
Yes.
before I get involved with somebody else. It don't bring no baggage into the
Mm-hmm.
relationships. So I took a little time off. Then I said, I will choose. I'm not gonna let nobody choose me. I'm gonna choose.
Mm-hmm. You know, you just said some great information there. Love yourself. A lot of times when we don't take the time, like for me, I was in a long. I most of my life I've been in long term relationships. Like this is the most that I have been single and by myself, which was 5+ years. Now I'm 45 years old, so now you do the math. If I have only been single and by myself for 5 years out of that time span, you know that I was constantly in something, whether it was a long term relationship, whether it was a situationship, whether it was a friends with benefits situation, whatever it was. Since 2020, the pandemic, this has been the longest that I have actually got with myself and said, okay, we're not doing this no more. And I've learned so much. But what you said is that you had to learn how to love yourself. People who don't take the time to sit back and chill, take the time to unplug, take the time to hit that reset button, you will continuously complete these same scenarios and you will be a Chanel over and over and over again, and it'll just be a different person. We talking about Darius today, but it'll be, the next person the next year, the next person the next month, the next person the next month. So many people are afraid to get with themselves and they don't realize that they're missing the big picture here.
You know what? And then she could be doing something that make guys, oh, I don't want to get with her. She could be too clingy. It sounds like she's very clingy.
When you chase a dog, what do they do?
Oh yeah, well,
Now,
how,
now,
and that's what it sounds like. Like, oh, I could do this for you. Oh, I could do, and a lot of guys don't want that. They just want you to be natural. And when I say natural, just hey, just be there, and we can talk. Hey, don't try to go out and impress me by being super nice, or like she said, like you said, that's $600, man. Hey, that's water down the drain. Now, I mean, hell, you
now
know,
we don't know how much else was spent on dates and cooking and all this other stuff,
yeah.
but
But she chose to do that again, just like we always say, she chose to do that.
yeah,
So, but like I said, sometimes that person like her got hurt. That's maybe because she was very pushy towards him, and he seen that, he caught on to it, and then he said, "Well, shoot, so I don't feel lonely, and I can go over there and lay up with her for a couple hours, and then I'm going my way, she go her way." And that's how his mentality. Maybe he would have gotten with her if she hadn't have been, like she said, going on vacation. You don't know. She might have said, "Well, let's go on vacation." Hey, man, what person gonna say no when they ain't got to pay for the vacation? Hey, you think I'm gonna say no? Oh no. I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna pay for everything. Okay, I'm not saying no, and that's just human nature. And that's in any guy or any woman. If the other person says we're going on vacation, I'm taking care of, I'm paying for it. You know what, man? If you tell them no, you're a damn fool. Put it like that.
now I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute. Now there have been times where I've turned down stuff like that because I don't want to be in a company. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be aggravated. When you sitting there laying next to somebody that you don't want to be with, it's like, oh hell no. You know what? I got my own money. I got my own situation. I don't need to be going on this ride here. I don't need to be going on this journey. So you're right to some extent, but when you can do it for yourself and you don't have to put yourself in that situation that you don't want to be in, you don't want to be hurting people's feelings, you don't want to be taking advantage of an individual, I say that that's probably the best option.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. She said they went on vacations. They spent holidays together. Okay, and it's because when she said that, it's like, okay, you had to be the one to pay for it, and he went along with it. But like I said, it was his body that was there, but not his mind.
Damn, I need that song. I need that song. And your body's across town. I think he's speaking to the woman because he's upset because her body is there, but her mind is across town. And
Yes.
I think, you sure that ain't the OJs? That
Huh?
might be OJs.
And it could be because they had some hits.
But your body is here, but your mind is across town.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out. We're gonna have an update on this. I'm gonna find out. We
Oh
list
yeah,
so many things here tonight. Bottom line, be careful with these situationships, and they're not soul ties. Just like the title is, situationships ain't soul ties, and be lucky it ain't a soul tie, because if it is a soul tie, that's a whole nother situation. They could be good and they could be bad.
yeah.
You want to make sure that you're attracting good soul ties and you don't have anything negative, because then you got to go against the grain and try to break once you get wrapped up with somebody. That's why it's so important that you are careful before you lay down with somebody. Because I was having this conversation with my mentor, and I said, I'm going to be honest with you. Whenever you get into a relationship and you lay down with somebody, your whole entire life changes. I want you to think about that. Think about you before you got into that relationship. Whether it was good, bad, ugly, I don't care. You had a state, you had a mindset, you had a situation that you were in before you decided to step into that situation with that person, step into that bedroom, lay down with that person, and they took you on a ride, they took you on a journey, whether it be good, whether it be bad. Look at your life. Every time you lay down with somebody, and I'm saying lay down and be in a consistent, wrapped up relationship, your life changes from the state that it was before. And I never looked at it like that, but I was like, wow, every time you decide to take it there with somebody and get into this relationship, your life is never in the state that it was before you actually did it.
That's true.
Now, whether it be good, whether it be bad, you got to make these choices, and you got to make, that's why we have to have this great level of discernment, and you have to ask for it and pray on it, because sometimes these things can be a little tricky and there's some tests out there. And I would say, let's not err on the side that the enemy is always doing something, that the devil is always out there to try to get us. Sometimes I personally feel that God is like, you know what? Let me go ahead and let this situation pop up to see if you learned your lesson, because you cried to me before. You damn near died about it before, and you said you wouldn't do it again. And
Yeah.
now I want to see if you really learned your lesson. So I'm going to send this person away. I'm going to send this situation your way. I'm going to send this problem your way to see how well you actually learned your lesson and see if you figured it out or not.
Ooh, hey, that you said something there, because I know you earlier talked about dating apps, and don't get me wrong. Yeah, I met quite a few people on dating apps, and there's only one that caught my interest. All the rest of them, it was this friendship thing,
Mm-hmm.
and and they dating apps is scary, because a person, they can lie on there because they don't you don't know where they at,
Exactly.
and they can tell you this and that. Then when you meet up, you be like, wait a minute, hey man, this is no joke, man. I have nothing against big people. I never forget, man. This one lady I met, I went out to her house. Hey, dude, I kept going.
I'd had a situation like that too.
Hey, but, the thing about it was, her picture showed that she was tall. Man, then we was talking, and I don't know, somehow I called her and I said, look, I had something that happened, and she said, okay. And then I asked her something, and she said, oh, when I took the picture, I was standing on top of the tub.
Oh, I'm done with this. I'm done. I don't know what type of situation you got. She said,
Hey, dude, I kept going. When I seen her, and I'm like, that's her. I'm glad my windows was tinted. I'm glad it was, and I just kept on rolling, man. I'm like, oh no. I mean, hey, like, it,
perfect.
we talk, and then I come to find out she had a lot of issues. She was from the same. She was from Michigan also, and she was telling me about her and her husband. Come to find out, her and her husband, ex-husband, she said, we went to high school together. And I'm like, Man, Victor, it's really getting bad for you now.
I, listen, I'm with you with these dating apps. Every time that I was on there, when I met up with somebody, they did not look like their pictures. And
Yeah,
listen, we we're in the age of where we enhance, especially they got AI now, all of that great stuff. I get it,
yeah,
but I want to at least look semi presentable compared to what pictures I'm putting out there. Like, let's keep it
exactly,
real. Like
exactly. Yeah,
we all got a little enhancement and stuff like that. I get it, but enhancements. This is like a 10-year difference. You don't look nothing like whatever. Now, back in
exactly.
the day when I didn't know who I was, I'd be the type of person that didn't want to hurt people's feelings. So then I put myself into situations and entertain things that were no good for me. But sometimes when we talking, oh, this picture definitely don't look like whatever it's looking like. Like you said, you kept it moving. Yeah, I kept it moving. I kept it moving so much to where every time I tried to go on these dating apps and I've tried so many different ones, it continued to get worse and worse and worse. And finally, I said, you know what? I think it was around 2022 was when I said, that's it, I'm done. 2 years in the game of trying it, 2022, I said, absolutely not. I'm done with this. And I haven't been on them ever since.
Well,
I'm not doing them no more. Absolutely not. Nope.
I can say this, and I know God was with me. The person I'm with now, we've been together for 14, 13 years. We did meet on a date now. And I said, meet me at this coffee house. When she walked up, I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool here. We
Mm-hmm.
talked, and then, we talked a few more times. And then I never forget, she said, are you going to ever come out to my house? And I'm like, well, you never asked me to. So that's the kind of guy I am. And so when she invited me out here, we talked. Then one day, man, I was going through some changes, and I just said, hey, do you want to be in a relationship? And she looked at me and she said, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And hey,
Listen,
here we are 13, 14 years later, still smiling at each other, never had an argument, never raised our voice or cussed at each other. We just try to help each other.
that's awesome. Now, I will tell you that I have met somebody on a dating app and I have had contact on and off for I say since 2022. That's about the time, and here it is 2025, and I've always kept in contact. And let's just say that love is in the air.
Yeah.
Let's just say that love is in the air in a different new way. So who knows? We'll see.
But I've met people who said they met who they're with on a date now. Some of them got married, but that's one thing we did. We had an understanding when we first met. Neither one of us wanted to get married. We had that, hey, we can be friends. No, we can live together, we can be in a relationship, but we won't get married. She said, there's no need. I mean, we both was in our 60s. So, hey, I mean, hey, well, I was in my 50s then. And,
Listen, after I listened to my aunt tell me who's in her
uh-huh.
70s, when I listened to my aunt tell me that you will never know your mate and everything was good before they got married, and this is a 75-year old woman that says that things change after you get married.
Exactly.
What? 70 and you still going through the same issues that the young ones going through? And no, I'm good. I'm good with all that. Miss me with all that.
I got to tell you, my son that comes on here, me and him was laughing about this yesterday. I said, hey, man, I said, if another woman get my last name, it's going to be because they married her, not because I married her. And he said,
Mm.
well, Dad, I ain't going to never get married. And I believe him. He don't have no kids. He's not married. And he said, I just can't do it, Dad.
Well,
And I'm like, and you know what I told him? I said, hey, son, that don't stop me from loving you. If you can't do it, man, don't do it.
listen, Brandy got a record called Never Say Never. Be careful. because I said
Yeah.
that I would never get married either.
And then
And
my youngest one, he got married, and man, I don't even think they was together 2 years. They was split up, man. And he
mm,
said, "I'm not getting married again." Then hey, and then I have one that stayed in Ohio. In Ohio, I went, man. If I say that, he's, "Oh, excuse me, Dad. I didn't mean to say it like that. Oh, you a grown man." I ain't never getting married again. I only got one son that he's been married about 3 or 4 times.
oh no, see,
Yeah,
I
and I'm
don't,
like,
I don't know how he got enough money to keep doing that. Hell,
I know, and I'm like, dude, I mean, that's on him. It ain't on me. And these with all these women that has the last name, they because of him. It ain't because of me. That's for sure.
I know one thing for certain and two things for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man. Well, I think we wrapped it up as much as we possibly could to help Miss Chanel. But again, this is a bottom line. Again, same scenario that we keep speaking about time and time again here every week is self love. If you don't know who you are, people will shape you and mold you into somebody who they want you to be. But I don't think that Darius shaped you and molded you into anything. I think that you did this to yourself. A lot of stuff is self inflicting, and we try to go ahead and point fingers and blame everybody else for the hell and the drama that we are in. But remember, nobody can hurt you unless you allow them to. But the person who hurt you was yourself, because he
yes,
specifically told you from day one that he didn't want what he didn't want. And a lot of times when we get into these situations and these relationships, people will tell you exactly who they are within the first 30 days. You have to basically sit there and listen. And you weren't listening. There might have been a lot of bedroom action going on, and your mind got distorted and twisted, and you thought that it was what it wasn't, and then you tried to make it what it wasn't, and you walking around acting like you were the one, and you're not the one, not
yeah.
the one
That's
for
why.
him.
That's excuse me. That's why I said I don't feel sorry for her because
Mm-mm.
he told she said first she said we never talked about it. Okay, right there you say neither one of y'all talked about it. So and then he said he wasn't ready for a relationship. Right there, them two things right there should have told you that it wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
So
So
like I said, I brought that on herself. She brought all that on herself.
And no, and in any of these situations, any hurt that we have that we experience in lifetime, stop blaming other people because nobody did it to you. You did it to yourself. If you are not attached to people, places, and materialistic things, they can't hurt you. Once you insert yourself into somebody else's story, once you insert yourself into somebody else's life, once you insert yourself into somebody else's timeline, you subject yourself to that stuff. The other person did not do it to you. So we have to get past this person did it to me, that person did it to me. We are our own individual beings, and we entered into this world by ourselves, and we're going to leave by ourselves. Whatever pain you are experiencing in your lifetime, that is because you allowed it to happen. People cannot hurt you unless you allow them to. And I know it sounds harsh. I know people may not get it. But like I said, stick around here long enough and you might learn something, because this journey that I've been here in my lifetime, trust and believe, I thought that it was everybody's fault. I was pointing fingers, fighting, cussing everybody, wanting to turn everything up like the Tasmanian devil until something happened and it clicked and I realized, wow, you mean to
Yeah.
tell me that I caused all this hell? I caused all of this drama? I caused all of this stuff here that I'm experiencing in my life? I did this? Okay, check. Now that we understand that I'm in control, once you understand that you're in control of your situation here and nobody else is, you will start to look at your life a little bit different. Because can't
E-
nobody hurt you unless you allow them to.
Exactly. You and I, we have talked off script on all this. And like I tell people, hey man, it was my fault. It wasn't her fault. I allowed it to happen that way. I had warnings. And you
What?
know what? That's something I learned. It's like I couldn't see what was going on the outside because I was so focused on the inside.
What the? I'm a stop here right quick and interject here. Les Brown says you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame.
Exactly.
Go
That's
ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead. Continue. I just wanted to throw that in there. You cannot see the picture when you were inside the frame.
yeah. And I was like that in my first marriage. And I mean, it was now I sit back and I'm like, dang man, it was right there in front of me and I didn't see it. I said I didn't see it, and it was always there. And my mom and dad said, "Well, we wanted to tell you, but we knew you would get mad at us. We didn't want you mad at us, so we wouldn't tell you. We let you." He said, your dad said, let him figure it out for himself, because he, excuse me, he went through the same thing, and he said, all he would always say, I said, I see your dad. Yeah, you'll learn. And he always said, I'm like, what do you mean by that? And I asked my mom, what do he mean by that? She said, hey, he said, he's telling you, he's giving you a message right there. You'll
Mm.
learn.
You know, my mom told me one time, I tried to warn you, but you wasn't going to listen anyway. And I remember that distinct moment when she was trying to tell me something. But
Yeah,
me being the person that I am, I guess based on the childhood that I grew up in, that once I became an adult, no one was going to tell me nothing. Because,
yeah,
I was told so much as a child, and I felt like I was restrained so much as a child that once I became an adult, oh, I got something for all of y'all. But see, when you think you know so much, you don't know nothing at all. And one thing that I've learned sometimes, that even though we don't want to hear it, but our parents know best most of the time.
yeah,
Most of the time. Not gonna
yeah,
say every parent does, but most of the time parents knows best.
yeah,
And there is something, that motherly instinct, because they're the ones who brought you in this world.
yep,
They kind of know just a little bit more, and they've been here a little bit more. Now that I have my young adults, and they think that they can tell me what to do sometimes, I'm like, you know what? I remember when I was your age, and I think that I've been on this planet a little bit longer than you, but I'm going to let you rock with that. I'm going to let you rock with it, because trust and believe that I've been there before. You almost like see your life, your children will repeat the same thing. And then you
yeah.
got to remind them, like, remember now, like I say, my girl Mary, look at my life and see what I've seen. Now you listen, you got the blueprint here. You can go left or you can go right. Look at my life and see what I've seen, see what I've been through.
And you know what? I tell mines the same thing my dad told me. He said, see, I've been your age. You excuse me, you haven't been mines. And
I like that one.
and
Me,
I'm like,
I've
that
been
makes
there.
sense.
I tell them all the time, listen, I think I know a little bit more because I've been on this planet a little bit longer than you, but I'm going to
Yeah,
let you go ahead and rock with it. Like, you can go ahead.
yeah. And my little sister, one day we was sitting around and she was like, bruh, I'm like, what? She said, because they used to say don't tell her nothing because she talked too much. She said, Mom and them told me not to say nothing to you, but I'm gonna say something, and you can get mad. You go back and tell them I told you. And she said, because I know when you tell them I'm gonna get this whooping. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna say nothing. And when she told me, I looked at her, and she actually had a tear in her eye,
Mm.
and she said, bro, I wouldn't lie to you. She said, I love you and I wouldn't lie to you. And she said, but you need to really, really look at yourself. And then 2 weeks after that, 2 weeks after that, that's when everything just busted wide open like a thunderstorm.
She was,
And that's when I left. And like I told you, I said, man, my dad, he was like, yeah, you can come over here. When I got there, he said, "Who is this?" I said,
Oh yeah, I love that.
"Yeah, yeah,
I love
and
that story.
yeah, and me and still me and my sister, we don't talk that much, but every once in a while she'll bring that up, And
But that
I said, well, look at your relationships you've been in, and she said, I know. She said, but you don't say nothing to me about it, but we both had to learn. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, we did,
she was a messenger.
yeah,
She said she was gonna take the whooping for it. See that?
yeah.
That was a messenger at that moment.
But I never, I don't think yeah, I think I did, but by then she had moved out. She was on her own, and we got talking one day, and I said, yeah, I said, Carolyn told me this, and that, and I told them what she said, and they said, you know what, we wouldn't have whooped her. She said because you needed to hear that, but we also told her if you can't see it now, he won't ever see it.
Mm. And we don't see it until our own time frame.
Yes, exactly.
But thankfully, we didn't see it. Thankfully, we saw it before it was too late. Is what I want to say because we both here.
Yeah,
Because Cat, had we kept going down the same path that we thought we knew best, we wouldn't even be here.
that's true.
Hmm.
Oh, but she did try to take me out though. She did. And that's when the last time it was twice. She poisoned some food, and then the second time she hit me with a knife and called her boyfriend over, and that was it. I left
But yeah,
and never went back. Never went back.
off script, we're gonna have a conversation about what you just said because when I tell we're gonna have a conversation about that. I
Yeah.
got something to tell you after. We ain't gonna do it here, but yeah.
Oh no, 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 no.
Oh man, you just brought back some memories. Remind me, please remind me, because I want you to listen. Sometimes I want next time. I know we got our time together, our one-on-one time. Please
Yeah.
remind me about what you just said. Write that down so you don't forget. Because I got some stories to tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I won't forget it, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. Birdman 313. Let us know what we need to know about how we can keep in contact with you, how we can get your books, what you're coming up
Okay.
with.
My books is on Amazon.com/Birdman313. I have 10 of them on there. I have 14 books published before I'm out of print, but 10 of them is on Amazon. You can go and see my videos on youtube.com/author poet Birdman 31355. It's all one word. And you can see a lot of the poems that's in my books are also on video. You can go to Instagram.com/Birdman313. You can go to Spotify and go to the Coffee, Wine, and Words platform, and you'll see she has a platform of all different poets on there. You could look, and all you gotta do is scroll down, and you'll see Birdman 313. You have to go from, I think it's 2022 on up until now. I do a lot of open mics. Like I said, I'm kind of feeling bad because I did I did one this past weekend on a patio, a reading around trees, and then last weekend it was the same thing, but I was up in Austin and was around a lot of trees, and we did an open mic outdoors. So I'm always somewhere, either Austin or LA. Um, I've been on LA Poetry Society, which I go on that channel most of the time on Wednesday nights on the radio station. So just Google Birdman 313 and you'll find me everywhere.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming in. I appreciate your insight. We had such a great conversation, which we always do. And I want to thank everybody out there for listening. I appreciate you. Please share this video. And we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. And I will see you same place, same time next week. Thank you so much for continuing the journey with me.
All right. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Yes.
All right. Take care. Have a good night.
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That was author Birdman 313 stepping in tonight, helping us with this mentorship series here tonight, Wind Down Wednesday. We discussed a lot of stuff, and this is what Wind Down Wednesday is about. We have fun, we wind down. I've often been told that, Laren, you need to relax, you need to chill out and enjoy the moment a little bit, and this would be a good example of it. But having said that, I don't want to feel guilty about me having too much fun. So I want to let you know that there is some honesty and there is some importance in the conversation tonight. So as you watch this replay, if you've been tuned in, if you've been listening from the top of the show, there's so many gems. There's so many great pieces in here that you can learn. You are speaking, you are listening to a person who had no form of what value of self-love was, to someone who knows who they are today. Listen to the scenario, same situation. You can just put my name in there and it would have made sense years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. You could put my name in there and it would make sense till you get to the point where you actually know who you are and you know what your value is and you know what your worth is. Once you get to that point, then you will start to attract the right people, places, scenarios that make sense for you. But until you get to that point where you pause, unplug, subtract, delete the things that no longer serve you, you may not get to the point where you start to attract the right things in your life. You might be on that timeline of where you are continuously attracting things that no longer serve you, things that don't work for you. And then you're sitting there constantly spinning your wheels in a quicksand relationship, in a quicksand situation, asking yourself, why does this continuously keep happening? Why do I attract the same personality over and over again? Why do I continuously wake up to the same type of person over and over and over again? You remind me, just like Usher, over and over again of the same situation that I've been in. If you want to chime in on tonight's show, please do me a favor. Text me 609-200-1098. That is the official 411 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. And I want to leave you all with this rhetorical question, burning questions tonight. Are you in love? Or are you just emotionally invested in someone who never made a deposit? I don't know who I'm speaking to. I'm just speaking from experience, but I know I've been there before. You claim it as love. We already spoke about the simp situation when it's only one-sided, you doing the most and they doing nothing. But are you in love, or are you just emotionally invested in someone who never made a deposit? Now you all in. You invested all of your time, your energy, your money. And the other person on the other end never made a single deposit. They never took you anywhere. They never spoke about doing anything. They're not even showing you anything. And it doesn't have to always be financially. Let's keep it real. Because the emotions, once your emotions get all wrapped up, that could be a whole nother situation. You're emotionally investing in someone who never made a deposit. They didn't make a deposit financially. They didn't make a deposit emotionally. They didn't make a deposit mentally. They didn't make a deposit physically. They didn't make a deposit spiritually. Are you in love, or are you just emotionally invested in someone who never made a deposit? Let me know how you feel about tonight's burning question. 609-200-1098. If you like anything that you heard tonight, if there was something that sparked your interest, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about debt-free living, because it comes from 4 different realms. I personally believe that we need to get our spiritual realm together. Once we get our spiritual realm together, once we know who we are, tonight, in the past several nights when we have been on Wind Down Wednesday, there's been a lot of lack of spiritual awareness, knowing who we are, knowing what our purpose is, what God put us here to do, who we are, what contributions do we bring to the society, what contributions do we bring. There's been a lot of lack of that night after night after night, and it seems like we can't get past that point. We're stuck in this spiritual realm. When you don't know who you are, remember, people will shape you, mold you, turn you into who they want you to be. And then once you wake up, because we all wake up on different timelines, you realize, I didn't sign up for this. I don't like this. I don't even like you. And now that you're here, how the hell do I get rid of you? It starts with the spiritual realm first. After that, then we need to focus on the mental. What are we thinking? What is our mindset like? Am I holding on to something that I was programmed from as a child? Did I pick up bad habits from this relationship, that relationship, the next relationship? Is this even my mental? Or is this somebody else's mental download? Then after we get that mental under control, now we enter in the physical realm. Now we show up in a world as a different individual than what we were when we first started. After we get the physical, now we start to build financially because we make better choices. Everything starts with self. If there's anything that you learned here tonight, anything that sparks something, you might be curious, you might want to know, head on over to LarrenGaines.com. Sign up for that free 15-minute consultation. I don't know who I'm speaking to. I'm just speaking from experience. All I'm doing is just sharing my journey with you. I'm just a regular person just like you, going through the same things that each and every one of you go through. Not saying that I'm perfect, that I made it, but I know that this is the journey that I've been on. It started in the spiritual realm first because I didn't know who I was in 2019. 2019 and prior, didn't know who I was. Once I got the spiritual and I focused on the spiritual, then I focused on the mental, then I focused on the physical. Now I'm focusing on the financial. LarrenGaines.com. You can also sign up for my free monthly newsletter. It's called Whispers of Wisdom. Awesome, inspirational, motivational content delivered to your inbox, focusing on debt-free living from the spiritual, mental, physical, financial realm. Don't forget about that free 15-minute consultation. All of that is available at LarrenGaines.com. I also want to thank my special guest, author Birdman313. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for your insight. If you want me to go ahead and give you my insight on what you might be going through, you can go ahead and send your information to me at info@LarrenGaines.com. And if you like to remain anonymous, we most certainly can work on that. We can twist things up, shake things up to make sure that nobody knows that it's you. You can also text me at 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. Please go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Share this video with a friend. I want to go ahead and give a recap on this Ruby Red Rosé with grapefruit. This is an awesome bottle of wine. Not much alcohol content, 8.5. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I definitely drank most of this bottle very easily. Nice, refreshing, chill. This bottle is from First Press. They gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to give this bottle a 5. Reading Between the Wines gives it a 5. Listen, thank y'all so much. I appreciate you. I will see you when I see you.
5,
And we
4,
out. Have
3,
a good night.
2,
Thank you so much.
1. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines, where growth is always on the menu, and every pour reveals a little more truth. The conversation doesn't end here. Have something to say? Want to weigh in on tonight's burning questions? Text us anytime at the official 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines hotline at 609-200-1098. Stay plugged in across all social media platforms at Laryngains. We're live and in the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, DLive, Twitch, and Dailymotion. Prefer to listen on the go? The audio version is streaming on most major podcast outlets. Until we meet again, take what you've learned, sip slow, speak truth, and remember, transformation starts within. Powered by the Black Diamond Consultations Network.